All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly call with Red Earth. Matt Ham here, and have thoroughly enjoyed diving into these calls and continue to look forward to step in. John and I were able to talk a little bit this week, and after talking with some of the team, it looks like pretty soon I'm going to be mobilized and actually come to visit the various communities and spend some time with the salespeople one-on-one, starting to maybe oversee just a little bit of sales process, be able to kind of be eyes and ears for you guys, be able to help, be able to provide some oversight and some more on-site type activity. So I'm excited about that. We still don't have exactly the details worked out of when it's going to happen or what it's going to look like. But the good news is it looks like I'll be available to do that at least a couple days a month and spend some time at various communities and bring this weekly call and marry it with and pair it together with actually being on site and being able to kind of walk out and work out some of the different things that we talk about. So all of that being said, today on the live call, we have teams from Village of Providence, Village at Oakland Springs. And so I'm going to focus specifically on those two communities and really this concept of the end of the year. John and I talked today at length. We went through the inventory sheets, and I've got some inventory little nuggets here that we're going to talk through. But kind of the premise of today's call is this. There are about 45 days left in the year. And in those 45 days, we have major holidays. We have the post-election drama. We've got still COVID conversations going on and on. There's a lot of stuff that's still floating around out there. And the bottom line is that as salespeople, as individuals, we have one of two choices. We can either toss in the towel and say, you know what, the year is spent. Or we can use these 45 days to really finish well as a way to focus on what is ahead in 2021. And so I think the challenge is there's 45 days left in the year. How are you going to use them? And if you don't use them, you're going to lose them. And the challenge with any salesperson is distinguishing between the need for sales and the want or the desire for sales. A lot of salespeople wait until they need it to actually get activated, right? And in the interim, you know, they're active, they do some stuff or whatever, but the need's not there, so there's not a whole lot of internal pressure. You know, there's not a lot of internal motivation. It's kind of like, well, we'll take what comes because right now things are good. You know, things are good. I've had a good year. Some things are positive. You know, I'm not pressed. Like if I don't go sell something tomorrow, I'm not going to eat. Right. And so a lot of folks wait until it gets to that point and they've got to do it. They need a sale in order to keep going. But there's always kind of a way out. It's like, well, if this doesn't work out, I can go back to waiting tables. Or if this doesn't work out, I can, you know, so you play this game in your minds as a salesperson where you give yourself a path of retreat. And so what ends up happening and moving into this like 45 days left in the year, you're like, well, I mean, I'll kind of try, but if I don't, it's no big deal because I mean, I've got enough money right now to live off of. And you know what, if it doesn't work out, I mean, you know, I can always go back to X or who cares, no big deal. And it's easy in those situations to kind of say, well, this didn't happen because of that. And it's the blame game and all the justification. And so I'm just bringing to light that there has to be an internal desire for excellence and an internal desire for embracing the opportunity that is now in order to ever move beyond that kind of waffling from, you know, well, I really need a sale, so I'm going to get focused versus, things are good right now, I'm going to kind of chill out. And, you know, John and I were walking through the inventory list, and I'm going to put some stuff in front of you guys. We're going to actually talk about some of this inventory. And it boils down to this. 45 days left in the year. And right now, per John, there are 4 properties at Village of Providence and 4 properties at Village at Oakland Springs that are move-in ready to go. And per John, looking at these inventory lists, when you all sell these properties, there is compensation when these properties close. And, you know, from what he's shown me, like at Village of Providence, it looks like there's 2 townhomes. There is a Everett property at Lot 102, and there's a Hudson property at Lot 145. And so when you boil this down to looking at the inventory sheet at Village of Providence, for those who were there, You say there are 4 properties that are move-in ready that if I were able to get under contract in the next 2 weeks would more than likely close by the end of the year or pretty close to it. So if you're talking about Christmas money, if you're talking about year-end bonus, if you're talking about opportunity to take advantage of the financial piece that's in front of you, we did the math on it, and there's $9,000 in commission to be paid on the Everett property at Lot 102. There's $9,400 of commission to be paid on Lot 145, the Hudson property, and then about $5,500 in commission on the townhomes. So you go, okay, total, that's about $30,000 in potential commission over 4 properties that are sitting there ready to go. And so the question is, what do you guys want to do about that, right? Like, this is the career we've chosen. This is where we are. This is the opportunity that's in front of us. And I'm not trying to devalue that it's not, challenging. I know it's challenging to sell property and this time of year and people's excuses, and we're waiting on the first of the year. There's all kinds of stuff. But you, as the salesperson, get to bring the desire and the urgency and the motivation to the table and just say, you know what? If you told enough people about these 4 properties, chances are these properties would be sold. Because the community speaks for itself. The quality of construction speaks for itself. There's a lot of people right now who are looking to make some moves and shifts. And so for those at VOP, look at the next 45 days and say, I have 4 properties ready to go right here. Do I want to get after this? Do I want to tell enough people about this? And so that's the first question, right? It goes back to what we'd said about a week ago, I guess. You have to assess the situation. And once you assess it, then you got to make a decision. Is this the path that I want to take? And so once you step in, where do you begin? And I think that the beginning is the part that's really not that challenging. That's the low-hanging fruit. That's when you go back to current existing property owners. This is something we talked about. That's where you talk to all the current property owners that you have a relationship with and ask them, hey, do you know anybody who's been looking? That's when you go and do broker drop-offs. That's when you go and, get active in calling people that have visited with you once or twice and just saying, hey, listen, by the end of the year, here's an opportunity that we have. John did tell me that on one of the properties, I think there's a $10,000 credit that can be used towards closing. It can be used off the purchase price. And again, that's a great tool in your belt that if the property closes by the end of the year or goes to contract by the end of the year, whichever one it is, I'm not completely clear there, there's a $10,000 incentive. And so I would say every single day I'm waking up, I'm looking at the people and the contacts and the low-hanging fruit that are there, and I am letting every single person know, hey, listen, if we get a contract on this property by the end of the year, the builder's throwing in a $10,000 incentive toward closing. And if you let enough people know about that and start reaching out, it is never going to hurt, at least from the standpoint of activity, because then you've got people who are kind of churning and churning and churning. And so I see the last 45 days of the year as the you got to churn the butter, right? You got to churn it. And by churning it now, you cannot possibly hurt yourself. All you can do is increase the probability that you're going to get a sale now, or you're going to develop a relationship or a conversation that's going to lead to a sale in 2020, 2021. And so this is a season of time, 45 days. And listen, I am all for spend time with your family at Thanksgiving, spend time at your family with Christmas. So if you block out some days for that, instead of saying 45 days, say I've got 30 days. I've got 30 solid days where I'm going to get out there and I'm going to churn the butter. And I'm not going to let anybody or anything stand in the way of that. And I'm going to tell as many people as I can, and I'm going to become a loudspeaker and a mouthpiece for these 4 properties, because there is $30,000 in commission available and ready if we get this done and get it done by the end of the year. Moving over to the village at Oakland Springs, John showed me that there are 4 properties that are move-in ready, and you've got Lot 65, Lot 78, Lot 59, and Lot 77. One of those has a $5,000 it looks like a $5,000 incentive as well. And by the numbers that I'm looking at, you're looking at about $25,000 in commission on the table there. So whether you're at Providence or Oakland Springs, there's anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 of move-in ready commission opportunities available that I would encourage you guys to make sure you're not missing out on this, because the activity that you have right now, that butter churning, as I mentioned it's not going to hurt you. Chances are you could get a sale now by the end of the year. Great way to close out the year, but it might also lead to something pretty heavy in the first quarter as far as activity is concerned. So again, next 45 days are ahead of you. You guys have a decision and opportunity, and the question is, are you ready to get after it? Do you guys want to get after it? And certainly when it comes down to nitty-gritty, details, I'm here to help. Like if there's a true challenge that you're struggling with, or an objection that's there, or if there's a resource that you need that you're not getting, that's where, I'm happy to be a sounding board and a voice for you guys to take advantage of me and the relationships that I have within the organization to be able to get some of the things done that need to be done. And certainly I know for those that are in those neighborhoods, you've got Kim on site to help, and certainly John and myself and the team up here in North Carolina is ready to help as well. And so the last thing I'll share is this: it's really easy in on-site sales to kind of lose track of or forget the fact that these are your listings. And now I don't know if any of you or many of you have ever been in general brokerage, but in general brokerage, you basically reach an agreement with a property owner that you are in their corner to sell this property. So Mr. and Miss Smith, they own, the Everett home at Lot 182 in Village of Providence, and they have hired you to be the salesperson for their home. Now, if Mr. and Miss Smith 2 weeks go by and they say, hey, how have showings been going? And you go, well, I hadn't really had any showings, or I had two, and the people they didn't follow up, and whatever. Mr. and Miss Smith, you want them to know, hey, I am on your team. I am busting my tail. I'm showing this property as much as I can. I have gone and dropped off flyers at these different brokerage accounts. I have created this, open house situation, and I'm having people in. I called a bunch of realtors and former property owners. I'm having a Christmas party. I'm going to go buy a spread of meat and cheese and have some wine tastings at the property, and I'm going to ask somebody to bring their friend. I mean, whatever the case might be, if this was your listing, and Mr. and Miss Smith are paying you and entrusted you to sell their home, it's possible that you might approach it from a different perspective. Because in on-site sales, we tend to lose the fact that these are our listings, and we think, well, they're just available, so they'll sell whenever the right person comes along. Instead of embracing the responsibility and the opportunity that you have as a listing agent and as a representative of the listing agency, that you guys are responsible for getting this property up and getting this property sold. And I think that whoever wants to take advantage of this, there's the better part of $30,000 in commissions that are there and available. But again, I recognize and understand too that money is not the best motivator, right? So there has to be some holistic things underneath this, but it's a great, it's a great way to get people activated. And so that's why I use this. So this isn't about just go make money, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we get all that. But it is a real cool opportunity to consider that there is fruit hanging on the trees that can be gotten, and just want to encourage you guys to go after it. And on the flip side of that, let me know how I can help. This is the first time I've actually ever looked at the inventory with John and really seen the opportunity. Not to mention, the inventory sheet each has probably 10 other properties that are under construction or underway. And so if you don't find anybody for the immediate purchase of these homes, there's opportunities coming down the pipe. And so I think it's a great time for you guys to get out there and to be a mouthpiece for these properties, and maybe do it in a fresh way. because some of you have been on site for a while. You've been going through the motions. It's been a difficult, challenging year. And what I'm trying to say is, hey, let's revamp the energy toward this. Let's revamp our mindset toward this. Let's just break it down into 30 days and say, I'm going to go hard for 30 days and see what happens. We don't have to look 6 months out or 3 months out. Just say, hey, between now and the end of the year, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get after it. I'm going to grind. I'm going to make things happen, right? Because of the gifting I have, because of the resources I have, and we're going to, go after it. So anyway, all that being said, you guys, any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm here for you as a resource to help you guys move in a positive direction. But that wraps it up for the recorded call. Thank you, guys. Reach out, matt@uprint.life if you need anything. Cell phone is 910-619-4644.